My name is Janus. I'm just the messenger for this story. A tale passed down to me by my grandfather Amante. He's in his 80s now, and though his body's frail, his mind remains sharp. Listening to stories is one of his few pleasures, and now he wants to share one, the story of his father, a man known for possessing ancient mystical knowledge. To keep things true, I'll narrate this tale from my grandfather's point of view. It all began decades ago when I started training under my father, Opog, a respected healer in our village in Negros Occidental. He was not just an herbalist, he was an antinguero, a man who knew the ancient mystical arts. Because of him, I grew up immersed in the world of secret knowledge. My mother, Endang, supported our path. According to my father, this calling often passed only to the eldest child, a reason, he said, why I never had siblings. It wasn't just about bloodline, it was about belief. A woman who didn't believe in the mystical ways couldn't marry into a family of healers. She would only create imbalance and conflict. So I learned to avoid romantic attachments with anyone who doubted our craft. From the age of 10, I became my father's assistant, joining him in his healing sessions. I sharpened my knowledge quickly, but what truly drew me deeper was witnessing my father confront a mankukulam, a dark sorcerer, during a healing. That moment carved itself into my memory. The calm in his voice, the fierce power in his words, it was awe-inspiring. Despite this mystical life, we lived simply. Our family's income came from farming and making charcoal. One morning we went to town to deliver 6 sacks of charcoal to one of my father's regular customers. Prices were low back then. 3 sacks sold for just 100 pesos, which was already a good amount at that time. After making the delivery, we bought basic household supplies, rice, salt, sugar, and 2 liters of kerosene for our lamps. Then we returned to the field where we'd left our carabao tied with a wooden sled. It was pulling our goods back to the house when something unusual happened. As we traveled along a quiet dirt road, a man and a pregnant woman approached from the other direction. They looked like a couple. The man gently supported the woman, who seemed to be in distress. At first we thought she might be going into labor, but then we smelled something foul, like rotting flesh. My father's eyes narrowed. "Something isn't right," he muttered. Without warning, he jumped down from the sled, whispered a prayer, and blew over the woman's forehead. Then he turned to me and said, "Take the reins, guide the carabao." That's when we noticed it. The stench wasn't coming from the woman, it was coming from the man walking behind them, and my father knew exactly what it meant. I kept a tight grip on the reins of the carabao as we slowly passed the couple. My heart pounded. My father walked over to the man trailing behind them, the one who reeked of death. "Père, what are you doing here?" My father froze. "Compare Mopella." "Yes, he's my friend." My father didn't reply. Instead, he turned to the man and threw something at him. A small object that glowed faintly. As soon as it hit him, the man staggered, unable to move. "What did you do?" My father stepped forward and grabbed the man by the shoulders, turning him toward the others. "Look at his eyes," he said coldly. They were glowing red, not like a human's eyes, but more like a cat's, only darker, more sinister. The man's lips trembled, saliva dripped down his chin, and his teeth had turned sharp, unnaturally sharp. "He's not your friend. That's the creature trying to prey on your wife and your unborn child." What are you saying?" "He's been using your friend's form to get close to you. The real Mario is long gone." I could feel the energy in the air shifting. The man, or creature, began to shake violently, eyes rolling in fury. The husband raised a fist ready to strike, but father stopped him. "Don't waste your strength. Aswangs don't feel pain the same way we do." Father pulled out a small bottle from his bag, his ever-present flask of sacred oil. As he chanted a prayer under his breath, he placed drops of the oil into the creature's mouth and rubbed some along his neck. The creature growled and coughed. "I don't have time for your kind. If you're already attacking in broad daylight, I can only imagine what you're capable of at night." Suddenly the man bent over and vomited violently. What came out wasn't normal. a lump of black flesh reeking of decay. And then, he changed. The once healthy-looking man's body began to shrink. His skin turned pale, his face thinned out. In seconds, he was unrecognizable, a hollow shell of what he had appeared to be just moments ago. That's what he really looks like. That's not Mario. No, it isn't. Where do you live? I'll make sure you and your wife get home safe. They nodded, shaken and grateful. Father helped them onto our sled and took them to a local healer he trusted, a woman known only as Manang Asul. She would protect them, he said. How can I ever repay you? Father only smiled and tapped him on the shoulder. Just be a good husband and a good father, that's enough. The next day, everything seemed to return to normal, or so we thought. My friend Duero came to our house and invited me to take our carabaos out to graze near the riverbank. Let's keep each other company. It's boring watching over them alone. I'll be checking the fields later. Meet me at the King Clan before sunset. With that, Duero and I brought our carabaos to the grassy riverbanks. We tied them up and let them graze freely. While waiting, we decided to climb a santol tree on a nearby hill for a better view of the river and the farmland below. The sun was shining, the breeze was gentle, and it almost felt like nothing bad had ever happened. Then we saw him. A man, probably in his 50s or 60s, came walking along the edge of the river. His appearance was strange. He had a cloth tied around his head with symbols embroidered into it that we couldn't recognize. But what alarmed us most wasn't how he looked. It was the stench. What is that smell? It was rancid, like rotting vegetables left in a barrel of water. It made our stomachs churn. He's looking at the carabaos, I whispered. Why is he just staring at them? We watched as the man crept closer, hunched over, his eyes locked on the animals. My carabao suddenly raised its head and growled. Yes, growled. Something I'd never seen it do before. It sensed danger. The man took another step. But before he could get any closer, the carabao charged. With terrifying speed, my carabao rammed the stranger in the chest, throwing him backward onto the ground. He groaned in pain, clearly hurt. Duero and I were frozen in shock for a moment, but I quickly signaled him to stay quiet while I climbed down the tree. I'm going to get my father, I whispered. No way, I'm coming with you, Duero insisted, already halfway down the tree himself. The man was still writhing on the ground, too distracted to notice us sneaking away. We ran through the brush, our feet pounding the dirt trail as fast as we could. When we reached my father at the clearing, I could barely breathe. Tay, someone tried to get to our carabaos. He's hurt. The carabao attacked him. Father's eyes narrowed. Without another word, he rushed with us back to the river. What we found made my blood run cold. Our carabaos were weak, staggering. One of them had blood on its horns, likely from the strike it had delivered. The other was lying down, breathing heavily. Father examined them closely. Then he stood, his face grim. They've been poisoned. Poisoned? I asked, stunned. He pointed to the grass around them. Faint traces of blood in a strange greenish slime. This isn't just any man. He came here to kill our animals. My father acted quickly. He mixed sugar and blessed water, chanting an oration as he stirred. This will help them vomit out the poison, he said, pouring the solution into the mouths of our carabaos. Their breathing was labored, but after a few minutes they began to vomit, thick black fluid laced with bits of hair and bile. Mang Yido, Duero's father, arrived shortly after. He had heard our shouting from his farm on the other side of the hill. Together they led the weakened carabaos home while Duero and I followed behind in silence, constantly checking the woods for any sign of that mysterious man. Later that evening, as we lit a fire to keep warm, I saw a shadow near the trees. Father, I whispered urgently, someone's out there. Without hesitation, my father whispered a blinding oracion and stepped toward the tree line. The figure froze in place. The shadow twisted unnaturally, and then it became a man. You again, my father growled. Why did you poison our animals? The man tried to step forward but couldn't move. I didn't know they belonged to an antingero, he muttered. We needed meat for a gathering. You call murder a celebration? My father snapped. Let me go, and we'll see who truly understands the secret arts. My father's eyes narrowed. Fine, let's settle this properly. With a flick of his hand, he released the spiritual nails binding the man in place. They walked deep into the forest. Father turned to me and the others. Go home. Lock the doors and windows. I'll handle this. I watched from the window as they disappeared into the tree. Hours passed. At 8 p.m., Father returned, drenched in sweat, his face weary. Tay, are you hurt? I rushed to his side. He shook his head. I'm fine, just tired. What happened to the man? I didn't kill him, Father said quietly, but I removed his power and left him with a curse. If he survives, he won't get far. But what do you mean you didn't kill him, yet he won't survive? Father only smiled faintly. One day you'll understand when you become a true Antingero. The next morning, Father visited Manang Asul, the healer who sheltered the pregnant woman. When he returned, he told us something chilling. She came, he said, the wife of the Aswang I defeated. She attacked the healer's home last night. With the baby? I asked. She brought a child, he nodded. But it wasn't hers, just a stolen soul she dragged along to make herself look human. Did you stop her? Manang Asul did. She found the dark charm buried outside the healer's fence, the woman's weapon. Once it was destroyed, she was vulnerable. We fought her together, and she didn't survive. What happened to the child? Father paused, his expression soft. Manang Asul took him in, but boy had no part in their evil. We'll find his real family someday. And that's when I knew. This wasn't just about knowing herbs or prayers. This was about protecting the innocent, even from those who wore familiar faces. That day I swore to finish my training and earn the right to be called an Antingero. In a world where evil wears the face of someone you trust, who do you believe? And when the battle ends, does it ever truly end? The Aswang is gone, for now, but darkness never really leaves. It waits. If this story chilled your spine, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more true Filipino horror stories told in English. We've only scratched the surface.